defense is in real trouble right now. They have given up basically over 30 points in the last 3 out of their 4 matchups against Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson, and Alex Smith. So Deshaun Watson, who might not be a quarterback ready for the NFL, Cam Newton, who has accuracy concerns, and Alex Smith is a game manager, and they all gave up 30 or plus points. That's a big concern right there. And I think the reason why is because they are a zone-heavy defense and they don't got a pass rusher. These quarterbacks, they could just sit back all day on them. Just sit back all freaking day on them and just throw the ball wherever the hell they please. Because if Bill wants to confuse him with some sort of zone, if he wants to disguise a coverage somehow, you're going to need some pass rusher to destroy or disrupt the quarterback. That's what you got to do. That's why Bill Belichick was so successful as a DC. He had a guy known as Lawrence Taylor who he can move around and play pretty much anything, an all-around player, and just rush the passer, and he was just such a devastating player. You need that pass rusher, and I really don't see it. I understand with some of his logic that you have a Trey Flowers right there, that he racked up 2 sacks in the Super Bowl, and you're thinking about, okay, he should do pretty well, and then you trade a second-round pick for Coney Ealy, a guy who performed very well 2 Super Bowls ago, or 1 Super Bowl, or whatever it was, whenever the Broncos and the Panthers played. And then you also have this Dietrich Wise guys who look like you're coming through. However, you're basically banking on players who have ceiling, and you think they have ceiling, but they're not exactly there. And if I look at this, that's definitely a big concern with the front seven and whatnot. And the linebacking core is still a concern also. Now, another note I'd like to put out is the secondary. Now, the secondary has trouble covering, especially Stephon Gilmore. And the reason why Stephon Gilmore is getting really exploited is because he's the X receiver. If you don't really know what the X receiver does, the X receiver usually covers that one wide receiver who gets his own side of the field. And that wide receiver tends to be the most gifted on the team. So if you, let's just say, if a team was as fortunate enough to have Randy Moss on their roster and the Patriots were going up against Randy Moss, Stephon Gilmore would cover him. Now, Gilmore is a man-man corner, and when you put him in zone, he's going to suck, okay? He is going to suck because he just doesn't understand. He gets confused with the assignments and whatnot. If he is going to play zone, you should give him safety help at all time, and it's going to be really kind of awkward to put him in a situation where you just have one safety over the top where the safety's playing center field. And that's a real difficult spot right there. But Stephon Gilmore not playing well. He got a terrible penalty at the end of the game. Terrible penalty at the end of the game, which cost them the game. I mean, a lot of people would say it would cost them because it was a 3rd and 7, I want to say. And what happened was he penalized on the 3rd and 7, so they got the free first down. I think it was a defensive holding call. So they get the free first down, and then basically they didn't even give Tom Brady a chance to drive down the field. I mean, Tom Brady had a nice rally with his offense for getting 2 straight scores. However, they didn't give him the ball at the end, and they basically just milked the clock and gave it to Graham Gano, who hit it right down the middle, or basically right down the middle. So if you put this in perspective, the Patriots defense is in a big concern right now, and there's a lot of moves or a lot of things that have happened over the year or two that we should look back on. So when you look at Chandler Jones, I think he's definitely a good person to look back on. They traded a 2nd-round pick, which was 1 pick higher than their original 2nd-round pick that they had. So they basically just moved up 1 spot to get another draft pick. And I guess that was the same year in the 2016 draft where they didn't exactly have a 1st-round pick, and that was because of the Deflategate. And so they drafted Cyrus Jones, who still hasn't very much produced for them. And then they traded away Chandler Jones, who's been looking very well at the Cardinals. Now, what they could have done is some of the players that they signed to their roster, especially Stephon Gilmore, maybe they should have passed on Stephon Gilmore and gave that money to Chandler Jones. I think that could definitely be a possibility. They should have gave the money to Chandler Jones just so they know that they have a pass rusher right there. And then they didn't have to trade for Coney Ealy for a 2nd-round pick, and then they can draft a athletic cornerback right there if they want to play the X in the 2nd round. You could do something like that. And you might not sign a Lawrence Guy or something like that, but I mean it's Lawrence Guy, but who cares? So ideally you could do all this cap manipulation and all that where you could put through it, and you didn't have to do it for Coney Ealy. So ideally all they had to do was keep Jones and re-sign him. That's all they had to do. And then they wouldn't have to deal with Gilmore right now because I don't know. Gilmore just doesn't seem like a Belichick guy. Gilmore, hey, it's the Patriots, so they might produce. They might produce. They might come back this season. They probably will, and they could be in the Super Bowl this year. So I have seen them go 2-2 the first 4 weeks of the year in 2014, which they won the Super Bowl. And conveniently, in that year, they lost their Week 1 game and their Week 4 game. So that's definitely something that you got to put in consideration. It's just the Patriots. But overall, when I look at this Patriots defense, it's in trouble right now. It's a short week to try to adjust what's going on right here. And overall, I have to say is the Patriots defense just sucks.